What can mental health do, or specifically, what can exercise do on mental health? And can we really use exercise as a way to cure mental health? So that's going to be the next portion of this. And what I'll first start off and say is that there is a clear link between exercise and mental health. A lot of individuals who've dealt with depression, dealt with anxiety, dealt with all these different things have noticed a very good positive increase in their overall feelings of well-being with exercise. But at the same time, even with this understanding that people who are exercising likely have improved mental health, the links and mechanisms behind this are still not fully understood. So that's kind of the tough thing about this, is that we know it does help your mental health, but entirely why, that's kind of still up in the air. But from what we're looking at, exercise, there's a whole host of mental health benefits. One of the best things that it can do is it releases endorphins. So if you go to the gym, do a little bit of workout, it's going to release these things called endorphins, which are basically feel-good hormones, which after you're done working out, it makes you feel good. Simple as that. It improves your mood. It makes you feel a little bit better. So this is one of the things I kind of drive when I'm not feeling like working out. Specifically, I know afterwards I'm going to get those endorphins and I'm going to feel so much better afterwards. So that's a little bit of a push to hopefully get people into the gym and working out. So the next thing, it can take your mind off worries. We are often in the society of constantly thinking about the next thing, being anxious, all these different things. If you're taking a little bit of time to actually go to the gym, work out a little bit, and simply just focus on yourself and what you're doing at that moment, it's going to take your mind off a lot of different worries. I've had so many circumstances in my life where I've been stressed out about work, or actually I had a funeral, I had a death in the family, and I didn't go in and kill myself during my workout, but I did get some light physical activity. I did go in and it gave me some time to kind of decompress, take my mind off things, and it's really just a good coping tool that you can use if you are stressed out about things. Another additional benefit of exercising on mental health is this aspect of improved confidence. So you gain a lot of confidence from exercise, and you're probably thinking like, okay, what does that really mean? Well, one of the things I've noticed with working out, specifically with older adults, is when I start to do movements with them, I start to teach them how to squat, I teach them how to do different upper body exercises, I help them walk better. They gain confidence and some self-efficacy in the gym, in those activities, and then it can also translate into the outer world. Maybe it's a physical activity, but how many times, I know for myself, I've started being physically active and I just pick myself up better. Whether I've lost weight or I just have that improved mood we talked about, you just feel a lot better about yourself and what you're doing outside the world. So it's kind of an interesting thing. I haven't seen a lot of research on this, but I've noticed it very anecdotally and personally that exercising when it comes to mental health can improve your confidence levels greatly. As we talked about earlier, coping mechanisms are another huge thing that we can get from exercising. So when you are angry, when you are having any type of stress, but specifically we're talking about anger in this instance, exercise is a great way to get out that anger. And you might be thinking, shouldn't you just like feel the pain, control it, do your best to understand why it's coming? Well, that is something you want to do when it comes to coping mechanisms, but at the same time, I would much rather have somebody go work out versus have them drink alcohol to deal with their anger issues. So it's a good source of a coping mechanism. Another thing we'll talk about earlier in kind of the home gym versus traditional gym argument is social interaction. So a huge benefit of exercising is actually social interaction. So a lot of times people will go to the gym for exercise classes. I know my mom specifically, she actually teaches a few classes, and I teach some classes as well. And it's a huge source of community and kind of bonding around that exercise and physical activity, which, as we know, if you are around people and you are talking to people and part of a community, you have much better mental health outcomes than individuals who don't. Also, too, and I'll probably mention this later again in the podcast, but I even go to the gym to exercise for mental health and social interaction, even though I don't really socialize. So how I do this is just being around people and getting out in the world, and even just asking people, hey, how many sets you have left? And just being around other people is still a way that I get out to the gym, even though I don't do these different exercise classes. So it's kind of something that anyone can activity then, right? So physical activity is just spontaneous movement throughout the day. It's not particularly planned. And kind of the way I like to describe this is you can go to the gym and you're going to be physically active when you're at the gym, but if you're just moving around your house, if you are picking up groceries from the store and bringing them in, that's physical activity, but it's not exercise. Exercise is planned, right? I'm going to take time out of the day to go be physically active. The ACSM guidelines for physical activity is 150 minutes of moderate cardio or 75 minutes of vigorous activity, and of course 2 times a week of resistance training. Also, I am gonna kind of pair in this that yoga and stretching can be relaxing and very therapeutic, but it's not actually part of the exercise guidelines. But when we're talking about mental health benefits of exercise, I think not adding yoga to this as a part of it is kind of, I should say, I'd be remiss if I didn't add yoga in there, because I do chair yoga classes with seniors, and I've even done some regular yoga classes, and I feel great afterwards. Maybe it's not as physically hard, but it does kind of calm my mind, calm myself mentally, which is a great aspect as well. But also to just finding stuff you enjoy, enjoyable workouts, try to limit the overall barriers and things that are causing issues in your life. So if you always notice that, hey, every time I go out with this friend, I end up not going on my exercise routine, they make me drink a lot, it might be a good idea to try to kind of shift around your friends and maybe even rethink certain friendships. This is just an example that comes to mind first off, but trying to shift your life to make it as advantageous as possible for being physically active. Get some support from others. That'll help not only for the immediate to get you to do there, but you'll build some social connection. Schedule it in to your life, and then don't beat yourself up when you don't get that physical activity. This can actually worsen your anxiety and cause things to get worse for you. And obviously, when we're talking about mental health and exercise, the whole reason we're doing it is to try to be more mindful, improve our overall capability for our brain.